Hi, everyone. Welcome to the RMI presentation of how to help regulators identify the IRA opportunities for an affordable energy transition. I'm really excited today to share the research insights from our analysis at RMI and talk about how we can help inform your actions. I'm the manager on the carbon-free electricity team, and today we will start with the high-level introduction of RMI and get into some highlights of our analysis. And we will dive into deeper introduction of the clean repowering opportunities, which I will get to define what that means in a second. And we'll also talk about how clean repowering paired with IRA incentives can create customer savings opportunities. We will wrap it up by providing some recommendations of how you can take it to the next steps. RMI is an independent non-profit organization of experts who are working at accelerating the clean energy transition. And today you'll be hearing from me and my colleagues from the carbon-free electricity team, which is the team that has done a lot of work around IRA implementation. We have helped inform the key provisions of the IRA. And since the passage of IRA, we have worked with more than a dozen of utilities to help them understand their IRA financing programs. We have also provided technical assistance to more than 15 commissioners across different channels on the IRA provisions. And we have also engaged with consumer advocates, environmental advocates, and large energy buyers across the country to provide educational support on IRA financing programs. And IRA, or the Inflation Reduction Act, has created huge opportunities for regulators to achieve two major objectives, which is the grid reliability and also maintain affordability of customer bills at the same time. And the IRA does so by providing a huge amount of financial incentives for utilities to invest in both the clean energy generation, manufacturing, and also the grid infrastructure that's supporting the electricity supply. We have seen that a lot of utilities have started to do so, including DTE in Michigan as the first utility who incorporated IRA into their IRP proceedings and created customer savings opportunities. We have also seen other utilities starting to do so by investing in grid infrastructure and also leveraging their IRA tax credit. The Congressional Budget Office estimated that more than $400 billion in private investment will also be incentivized by the IRA. One of the key ways that we think this would be possible is through clean repowering. And now let's define what that means. Essentially, clean repowering is a hybrid resource. So when you hear a hybrid, you might be thinking of turning your coal and gas plants into a hybrid generator, or solar plus battery as a hybrid. Those resources get paired together and get to share the same point of interconnection, or POI. Essentially, clean repowering is the same. You get to add clean resources to your existing coal and gas plants, and instead of shutting the existing plants down, you can just run them less and to use the less expensive clean generation. And clean repowering would leverage their interconnection rules, for example, the surplus interconnection or generator replacement, which would allow the generator owners to bypass the long interconnection processes, which has been a problem for the renewable deployment for a long time. And this would also allow the generator owners to achieve cost savings sooner. So let's get to an illustrative example of how that looks like. Let's start with the current system of the current cost. And by adding renewables like wind, solar, and battery, the total system cost is going to increase. But the IRA provisions is going to create financial incentives that can significantly reduce the total capital cost. And then the clean repowering resources will displace the fossil generation, which create significant opportunities for the energy savings. And from our analysis, we see a couple key findings. When you pair the clean repowering with IRA provisions, two things will happen. First, 250 gigawatt of immediate opportunities can be deployed across the country of renewable deployment. Second, building those 200 gigawatt of clean resources will bring 25 billion a year of customer savings opportunities across the country in the next 10 years. Now I will hand over to my colleagues, Alex and Diego, to talk about some specifics about these opportunities, and we will wrap it up by talking about how RMI as a team can help you with the next steps. All right, Alex.
Thanks, Becky. So I will focus on this specific opportunity, Clean Repowering, how it can take advantage of the opportunity of the Inflation Reduction Act, and how PUCs can minimize complexity as they integrate this opportunity into existing processes. Deploying Clean Repowering leverages interconnection rules around surplus interconnection and/or generator replacement. Which of these your utility can leverage is geographically dependent, but in any case, it uses the existing power plant's point of interconnection, or POI, to connect new clean energy to the grid. And this is what we call Clean Repowering. There are two benefits of Clean Repowering I want to highlight here. The first is that because Clean Repowering replaces existing generation and not capacity, it improves reliability relative to current resource plans, while also reducing fuel costs by displacing generation from existing fossil plants. And second, Clean Repowering is faster and less costly than traditional development of clean energy for three reasons. First, both surplus interconnection capacity or generator replacement interconnection processes are shorter and less costly relative to other approaches. While this is especially relevant in ISOs, all projects in all regions should benefit from simpler interconnection and reliability studies. Second, because it uses existing interconnection infrastructure, there is less transmission to plan, permit, site, and build. And then third, by siting near existing energy infrastructure, projects can qualify for additional IRA provisions, like EIR refinancing and energy community adders, which we'll talk about in a moment. The form and specifics of Clean Repowering differ across the country, and we'd be happy to follow up to share what it looks like in your state. So looking a little bit more deeply at the 250 gigawatt opportunity that Becky previously mentioned, we can see that it also reduces costs to ratepayers by replacing relatively expensive fossil generation with cheaper renewable energy. And for scale, this 250 gigawatts is roughly 50% more than the amount of clean capacity currently in advanced development. The regional distribution of Clean Repowering means this approach could have large impact. First, it's concentrated in PJM and MISO, where interconnection queues are a significant challenge. But also, large opportunity exists in the Southeast, where relatively little clean capacity is planned, and interconnection challenges may also exist, even if not as a result of long interconnection queues like in the ISO regions. Now, to go a little deeper on how Clean Repowering saves money conceptually, so looking at this, starting on the left, the chart shows the components of costs without Clean Repowering broken down by CapEx costs, like depreciation expense, allowed return on rate base, etc., and then fuel and fossil plants variable OpEx. Investing in Clean Repowering will bring additional CapEx costs and operational expenses, but the IRA tax credits reduce the net amount of the CapEx increase, and the EIR refinancing program will further help to offset those incremental costs, opening up room for net savings. Clean Repowering will also avoid operating the fossil plants when they are not economical, reducing their utilization to only when they are necessary to maintain reliability, which on net saves fuel and variable expenses even after accounting for increased OpEx as a result of more frequent startups and ramping. Next, let's break apart the tax credits and EI provisions that are critical for these savings to work. So first, let's talk about tax credits, which are the biggest and most immediately relevant source of savings provided by IRA. Beyond the basic ITC and PTC we are all familiar with, it also includes energy community bonuses, which represent an additional 10% tax credit if a project is sited within one of these three definitions of an energy community. A new feature of IRA is direct pay, where non-investor owned utilities can receive a direct payment for the dollar value of the tax credit and immediately reduce costs to customers. Another avenue utilities can use to monetize tax credit is through tax credit transferability, selling them to entities with bigger tax liabilities. Second, the Energy Infrastructure Investment, or EIR program, that's administered by DOE's Loan Program Office. Its goal is to back projects that support repowering or replacing energy infrastructure ceasing operations, or projects that reduce the air pollutants or greenhouse gas emissions of existing fossil capacity. These two eligibility criteria cover all the clean repowering opportunities within scope, because generator replacement interconnections fall into the first criteria and surplus interconnections fall into the second. The program can provide up to $250 billion in direct lending or loan guarantees. These funds can cover up to 80% of a project's cost with a repayment term of up to 30 years. The interest rate is equal to the U.S. Treasury's rate plus 0.375% or 37.5 basis points, which is much lower than what other debt instruments like securitization can provide. It is important to bear in mind that these funds must be committed by September 30th of 2026, leaving a very narrow window for utilities to identify and plan cost savings opportunities from clean deployment. That is why acting fast is crucial to tap into this financing opportunity on time. Explicit requirements of using this program include passing through savings to customers, including a community outreach plan, and having a remediation plan for the facility, like cleaning up ash ponds, plant decommissioning, or water pollution. And with that, I will hand it over to my colleague Diego to walk us through the savings opportunities.
Thanks, Alex. Now let's take a closer look at the savings from Clean Repowering. The RMI team used in-house modeling tools to run an analysis and calculate the generation costs for most load-serving entities across the country. This analysis shows that nationally, IRA helps save an average of $25 billion a year for the next 10 years, starting as early as 2025. The savings come from displacing fossil generation with 10,000 terawatt hours of electricity produced by new solar and 6,300 terawatt hours by new wind cumulatively in the next 10 years. The savings are made possible by IRA's provisions, including the tax credit bonuses, the transferability and EIR financing opportunities that Alex previously mentioned. These incentives allow utilities to basically build new renewables at lower cost than running the fossil plants. Please also note that these numbers include the savings potential for all entities, including both the vertically integrated investor-owned utilities, co-ops, and munis. In the next slide, let's zoom into vertically integrated utilities. The headline message for these types of entities is that it represents a big portion of the nationwide savings, which amount to a total of $45 billion in net present value over the planning period. This map shows the percentage of savings in generation costs relative to a scenario without clean repowering. And from this map, we can see that there are savings opportunities really across the entire country, but with big potential in several states such as Kansas, Indiana, and Florida. Next, let's continue zooming in to look at the top opportunities by utility. This slide now shows the top 10 utilities with biggest savings, both in terms of total net present value of generation cost savings on the left, and in a levelized savings per megawatt hour of electricity delivered to retail customers on the right. We can see that several of these utilities rise to the top in both charts. For instance, Duke Energy Florida, Duke Energy Indiana, and Ameren Missouri. So next, let's use Ameren Missouri as an example to dive deeper into the Clean Repowering story. This chart now shows the comparison in the generation mix between a counterfactual scenario where no Clean Repowering exists and the scenario where Ameren leverages Clean Repowering opportunities to optimize the cost. We can see there's a significant shift in the generation mix, switching from heavy reliance on coal operations to wind and solar. The generation figures shown in this slide reflect cumulative quantities during the 30-year planning period. Digging into Ameren's generation fleet, we've also identified that Rush Island is the plant with the greatest potential for Clean Repowering to allow for this shift without sacrificing reliability. And by leveraging IRA benefits in immediate Clean Repowering opportunities, Ameren would see $4 billion in net present value savings, translating to approximately $3 per month in savings for the average residential customer's bill. Please note that we are working to refine this analysis and provide insights at each individual utility level, and we are also hoping to incorporate the calculation of the utility earnings potential from Clean Repowering projects. Please do reach out to us if you'd like also to hear more about the impacts that are relevant to your utilities. And now that we've shown through our analysis that Clean Repowering brings significant capacity deployment and ratepayer cost savings opportunities, the question that remains is, what does this mean for regulators? RMI recommends the following actions for regulators to leverage these opportunities and achieve the cost savings potential. Firstly, we recommend working with your utilities to evaluate investment decisions during or in advance of IRP planning processes to make sure utilities include plans to maximize the IRA benefits in their resource, operation, or investment plans in the near term, particularly around reducing fossil operation with Clean Repowering. Second, we recommend having conversations with your utilities, either in IRPs, rate cases, or separate proceedings as applicable, to investigate how they incorporate the IRA financial and tax accounting rules into their ratepayer cost modeling to make sure that savings are effectively flowing through to the customers. And the final recommendation for regulators is to start exploring how your state could best leverage the expedited interconnection fast tracks, either by working with utilities to identify priority locations or developing regulatory mechanisms to encourage the use of these fast tracks. If you are looking for support in helping you get started on these recommendations, the RMI team is happy to offer the following set of tools. First, we can walk you through our Clean Repowering analysis with a specific focus in your jurisdiction and provide a synthesis around how to use the analysis to inform your actions in the PUC proceedings. In addition, RMI can offer advisory support through convenings and creating peer networks. We will soon publish a research toolkit about the actions regulators can take to ensure utility IRPs maximize the benefits of the IRA tax and financial mechanisms. And this toolkit was developed based on our first regulatory collaborative, or RegLab cohort for short, which is an initiative designed to support regulatory staff in tackling the stickiest topics and cutting-edge opportunities in the electricity industry. Staff from 13 states participated in the first RegLab cohort, including some of you who are here today, and we explored how utility resource planning will change after the passage of the IRA. The toolkit included a compilation of case studies and a menu of options that regulators can leverage to act in their own jurisdictions. If you are interested in learning more about RMI support, either the Clean Repowering analysis or the RegLac toolkit, feel free to contact either Becky or Joe at these email addresses, and we will reach out to you after the webinar to set up a one-on-one follow-up conversation. We thank you very much for your attention and are looking forward to both hearing from you and working with you.